The Cup Adventurers present
The Analysis of the Goddamn Manual.
Okay, so I feel like my special contribution to this is the fucking analysis of this goddamn manual. Because they do say something about, like, the thing that I did that did involve blood going everywhere.
Right. Tell me about this.
So, removing the Diva Cup.
Yes.
First of all, like, there's a lot of instances where it waffles from, like, instruction manual to just, like, motivational poster. Removing the Diva Cup. Get comfortable. Sit on the toilet or stand with one leg on the bathtub and gently separate your labia with your fingers. With your forefinger and thumb, gently pull the stem until you can feel the base of the cup. They make it sound so easy.
It's so simple. Don't you hear the instructions? You just gently pull it.
Pinch the base of the cup. This will break the seal. Gently move the cup from side to side and pull down. This action will remove the cup from your vagina. All right.
Will it?
But then on the next page, they're like, caution. Do not aggressively pull on the stem to remove the cup. This will be painful and you will likely spill the menstrual flow.
Right.
You are correct. But like, if I grab the stem with the fingers that are then pinching said labia, then there's no grabbing the base. You pull the stem until it's out, because if you let go, it just the seal is not broken yet.
Right. So I feel like there's a few different observations there. I feel like a lot of people, at least to start with, this is a two-handed process, or you just have to have really independently dexterous fingers. But it's definitely not that simple. And that's the thing about, you know how, have you had that experience where you get it almost to the entrance and then like you slip and it lets go and it just shoots straight back up there like a vacuum sucked it up?
Yeah. And that's why it's always this aggressive thing. Like I've got the hold, pull as hard as you can as fast as possible.
But I get why, because otherwise it's like no, all my progress.
Yeah, exactly. And so I tried after talking to you last week about like having an understanding of where your cervix is will help you with all of this. I like tried to find it with, you know, different fingers and and I was like, I don't know if I can put two hands in there to really do anything else.
Were you successful? Have you located it?
Like you said, it's just kind of a garden hose. You get everything in there and then you're like, yep, it's fleshy all around.
Two of the friends I've spoken to as well about this have been like, I didn't even know it was possible to not immediately feel your cervix easily within reach. And I'm just like, I knew we were all different shapes and sizes, but I didn't realize it was so extreme.
And I don't know if it's also just like, am I reaching wrong? Would a different direction make my finger go farther?
What's the angle, right? If
Yeah.
you go up the front, up the back, like what's...
And like, if I use my middle finger, which you'd think you'd want to do since it's the longest, it gets stopped by everything else. So like... And so I'm like, all right, well, this one's shorter, but I can get everything more out of the way. Nope.
I love the finger motion you just made, which was like a washing machine going in a circle. I do feel like that could be distinctly part of the problem. I think it could also mean that it's not just up high, but like tilted. So you're feeling up and there's like extra space to the side that your finger can't bend into potentially. And maybe that's where it's hiding. I don't know.
What I'm hearing is try the left hand.
Different angles. See how it goes. If you pull without breaking the seal, then it has that suction kind of effect, which is what the other, like my other friend that I spoke to, like she had this irrational fear she was going to just slurp herself inside out if she kept pulling too hard.
Though you make a good point. Like if you break the seal before you pull, then do you have a better chance? And can you even do that? I don't think I've really tried to get my finger around it before attempting to pull it out.
Right. So I suspect the people that wrote this manual have been capable of doing that, but I'm not sure that anyone else can. What about reaching it to begin with? Like, has that ever been a struggle? Or can you always, if you put your fingers in there, can you always at least grab it without problem?
Yeah, it definitely takes a little bit of tiny crab action, but because when I initially got it, the stem stuck out, and they have a thing like, okay, if the stem sticks out, you can cut it. That's fine. Just leave a 1/4 inch. And so I was like, all right.
Yeah, you don't want any abrasion in there. That's a thing you definitely do not want.
But at the same time, like, now it's a bit of a dance to get at it at all. Doing it in the shower is genius, for sure. I may have to try that at some point. But also, you're right. I don't know why I assumed every time I used it I had to boil it. So
you can just wash it. You can do just soap or water. It's fine.
It seemed like if brand new it was going to need to be boiled, then every time it was going to need to be boiled. And there's just so many things that if you stick it in your vagina, bad things happen, that it seemed consistent. Like, wash your hands, boil your cup, tally-ho.
Well, I mean, I think it's better to be overly cautious than under cautious, for sure. Not going remotely in any sort of order, but it doesn't matter. So you are using the Diva Cup, that's the brand, right?
Yes.
So, because there are some that have different, like, sizes, and, there's some of them come with, like, a small one and a large one.
This is the large one.
That's the large one. Okay, have you tried a smaller one?
No, but that is certainly something I'm thinking about. So, their sizes were based on, like, how old you are. It was like, this is the size for if you're over 30. I'm like, are you assuming that I've made people? Or is just your vagina expand? Or how does this work?
They are 100% assuming you've made a people by now. It's definitely, like, all the other companies are definitely, like, pre and post pregnancy.
Really?
Yeah, that's usually, and it can differ because, again, like, different shapes and sizes, also different amount of flow, and that's normal. But if you're going to generalize, they often classify it as pre and post pregnancy sizes.
Interesting.
Do you usually successfully get it out with the thing full, or no?
I've only really had a substantial amount in it maybe twice, but admittedly all the times I've used it have been at home over the pandemic, so I haven't actually left the house with it yet.
Right. Is it largely working when it is in, or do you have leakage issues?
I haven't had leakage, but it is something I'm paranoid about because I have had leaks with tampons. I have had, just leaks on pads even.
Yeah.
So it's just, and everyone's like, oh, just wear a liner. But I mean, if I'm using this to not have garbage, then why would I do that?
Right, yeah. So I feel like that is a thing that you kind of have to do. I also have a friend who wears, like, the Thinx period underwear as backup with this. And those are, so some people wear them, like, instead of pads or tampons. I prefer to use them as backup. So you don't have to use an extra pad or liner or whatever, but you're wearing a tampon or something like that, and then you have security.
You've tried the Thinx underwears?
Yeah, and I like them, mostly because they're so not flimsy. They come in different sizes and stuff, but they're just generally very secure. So have you ever been able to do that thing of, like, holding it on either side and like turning it, like running a finger around the rim of it to feel if it's popped open or not?
So I've definitely been able to give it, like, that reverse Jello shot effect. And that seems to work just as well to make the seal as spinning it. So.
Basically, one of the major issues I was having on top of all of the other issues was that, like, I couldn't comfortably get it out unless it was as small as it had been going in. And not only is that difficult to manage because you can't shove an entire hand up your vagina to fold it properly in order to pull it down, but then obviously all of the blood is going to splorp out of it and go everywhere. Yes, and go everywhere.
So they suggest that, like, putting it in, they give you the two fold options, the the U and the fold over or whatever. And the fold over seemed to make more sense, but I ended up sticking with the other way, the U, more often than not.
The U fold or the C fold instead of like
Yeah.
the punch down.
Yeah.
Really? Okay, and that works? That's comfortable?
Yeah, that
Okay, good.
that also seemed different from the other people from the other podcast. But
Yeah.
as far as like the first time, yeah, folding it up in whatever way, putting it up there, letting go, panicking,
Oh no.
digging around trying to make it spin, and then ultimately giving up. And I thought it would be easier to do it with the leg up, kind of having more just surrounding area.
Right.
But ultimately, the second time I did it sitting on the toilet, and that worked a lot better.
Yeah, I feel like on the toilet there's always the worry that it's gonna drop, or that like do your feet have leverage? Do you know what I mean? Like where's all? That's why I like the shower floor, because you can just kind of crouch. And I feel like this is going back. I feel like traditionally that's the way a lot of women gave birth, and the gravity helps you. And like if you squeeze down on your muscles, I don't know. I feel like it's a sort of natural position for getting things out of that particular canal.
And also, is part of the detailed descriptions that this thing comes with. They say when you put it in, you should put it in horizontally, and I'm like, but I'm up, like, and so I feel like getting horizontal is easier if you're sitting than if you're trying to get your leg on something.
Have you ever, I asked this to everybody, have you ever had the experience where you've got it in part way, your hand slips, and it pops open right at the entrance and smacks you right on the clit?
No, that has not happened. Just the ballooning inside you was shocking enough.
Right.
The least comfortable parts are definitely the getting it out and pinching all of your nerves, and the initial expansion like some kind of solar sail.
Oh God. Right. And then you said your instinct to get it out is just like you've got it, so just like keep pulling as fast as. So tell me the mechanics of that. Like, is it not folded at all when you pull, or?
No, like since I can't reach the bell, I can't compress it.
Right.
And so, yeah, maybe I can pull it to a point that the other hand can grab it. I haven't really tried that.
That is part of the problem, because you need like appendages to press and pull in certain places, and then it's just there's no space.
That's the other warning it gives in that same page, is never use a foreign object, such as tweezers, to remove the diva cup. How else are you supposed to do it? Part of me feels like I should do like half tampon and just put like fishing line around it, and like, if obviously your cooch doesn't care if there's string, we've been doing that for decades, like just put thread around it.
Exactly. That's what my friend did, and because she got the kind that doesn't have the stem, it has the little loop. And she used dental floss and just looped it through there like double strength, and uses it like a tampon thing to easily pull it down, get it to the entrance, and then she can just reach in and pinch the base and pull it out.
How's that minty freshness?
She washes it each time beforehand, but then she did forget once, and she had a real minty fresh moment.
like, I made the mistake of masturbating after cutting a serrano once. And I was like, this started out as maybe a good idea, but now I'm done, and it's still on fire. Yeah.
And then what about the blood spillage when you take it out? Like, walk me through those different occasions.
That is the good part about doing it over the toilet. Is if there is a lot in it, then you don't get it everywhere. But again, if you're kind of putting your whole body into getting it out, you're not really sitting on the toilet anymore. And so, yeah. And the first couple of times, I didn't leave it in there for that long, just to kind of feel out how much time it takes to fill and just get practice with it. I didn't really think about how that motion could end up flinging things because there hadn't really been anything in there yet. And so the first time that I had left it in there for like 4 or 5 hours and then like yanked it out, it was like
Oh no! There's blood in my menstrual cup! How did this happen?
And not all of it necessarily comes out with the cup. Like, there's still some that wants to come out that's in you. And so then you're like, you stay where you are. I need to put this in the sink.
One of the discussions that we had was just about sort of like being raised in a culture of like body shame, and that this is like a secretive, shameful, private thing.
Yeah.
Like you shouldn't.
We're all in our bubbles. But we're all doing the same thing in these bubbles.
Yeah.
And so it's like, I feel like I'm the last human still using pads. Has everybody moved on? Why am I doing this?
Right. And there's a rhetoric there as well that I feel like doesn't take into account the fact that there are so many different shapes and sizes and levels of sensitivity and levels of, you know what I mean? Like, just different things work for different people. I just wish that there was more frank and open discussion of the different variabilities, you know?
Another pro for this whole process, though, is it certainly breaks that, like, initial, activation energy of getting to know yourself down there. It feels like it's for a greater purpose than just...
Yeah, you're not really allowed to keep any personal embarrassment. Like, you're not, you can't not see it. You know what I mean? You can't not see what's going on. You can't not become familiar with what's going on. And I feel like it forces a confrontation that's maybe good for us.